Tomorrow's 2626. That'll be interesting. Good morning. It's quite the morning. There's quite a bit happening across the country, but the resistance continues. This is your dispatch from the resistance. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. I want to take a quick reminder to please follow the show on your favorite podcast platform, whether that is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Substack. We're actually on 17 different podcast platforms. I actually don't know how that happens, but apparently we're on seven. There's podcast places I don't even know you could listen to the show, but you can and you should. So welcome to the news, everyone. We cover 4 to 5 stories that I think you should know about to keep you in check with your democracy, to give you the tools equipped to push back, to fight back, to know a little bit more, and just have a little bit of fun. I do have some fun this morning. Let me get started with that. I always like to talk about fun things that happened on today's day. So let's see. The oldest newspaper in 1797, the Alexandria Gazette, established today, and it began its daily publication. It is considered the oldest daily newspaper in the United States, and it is a testament to the longevity of the American press and the First Amendment. Timely because yesterday, obviously, you know that the Washington Post laid off something like 700 people. I have to make sure I've got that number right. Also on this day, the Apollo 14 lunar landing, 1971. And let's see. FDR's court packing plan in 1937. Franklin Delano Roosevelt proposed a plan to expand the U.S. Supreme Court on this day today. He argued the court was blocking the New Deal legislation. In 1911, the town of Las Vegas, was incorporated as part of the newly founded Clark County. And we lost a nuclear bomb today. In 1958, the U.S. Air Force B-47 collided with a fighter jet over Georgia on this day. To land safely, the crew jettisoned a Mark 15 nuclear bomb into the waters off Tybee Island. It was never recovered. I did not know it was never recovered. That's weird. Happy birthday to Hank Aaron. And if you are a Zodiac, we are in the heart of Aquarius season. I'm just giving that one. I'm giving that one as a courtesy. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. A lot is happening today. I do want to live up to a promise I made. I want to read some comments from the platforms. Let's see. We have a comment here from Spotify. Enjoying the reporting, feeling empowered and enlightened. Keep up the good work and let's get some merch going. That's nice. We'll work on that. The next one says, excellent work. Yes, thank you. Never says, someone's talking from an episode a while ago. Never again, what? Never again do we or another group of people. I don't know how to read that. I appreciate the comment nonetheless. Thanks for being a truth teller. And then from Northwest Poll Project, thank you very much on Spotify. Says, great show. Thank you for speaking up and speaking out. Thank you for that. And I do want to head over to YouTube because I want to read a comment from YouTube because it keys in to the show from yesterday. Let me go ahead and pull up this toxic comment. I do occasionally like to read toxic comments. So let me go ahead and read the comment. Oh, is it gone? Is it gone? Oh, sort by. I got to do responded. Here we go. Okay. So yesterday I talked about the hypocrisy of Christian nationalism, and one of my Substack videos, I guess, got uploaded automatically to YouTube. And so someone said, here's a quote. I love this quote, by the way. This is a comment on YouTube. Bringing up infidelity as a negative for political appointees or politician is so stale at this point. Nobody they say, gives a fuck about that anymore. We aren't electing president of the Quaker Society guy. Go sit in timeout until you have something relevant to modern society to contribute. Ooh. I just want to take a little bit of a break. Thank you for that comment. It helps to spread engagement on YouTube and get us to more people. Second, I guarantee you this is the kind of person that cheated on his girlfriend. His girlfriend probably was staying up late one night when he was in the shower, and she went over to his phone and she was like, I don't want to look. I shouldn't look. Should I look? Should I not look? I don't know. She looks on the phone. And of course, he's cheating on her. Of course. And the reason I bring this up is because, first of all, nobody's perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. We all know I'm not perfect. Second, this is the kind of moral ineptitude that has caused the decline of this country. And I'm not saying this from a religious perspective, although yesterday you should go listen to the show because we had a very good takedown on the Christian nationalists yesterday. But the point being, we have had now a decade plus of an amoral, corrupt individual leading this country. And what that is causing is causing this well, not even slow, it's causing this erosion of morality and goodness, kindness, and community in this country. And make no mistake about it, it is directly at the foot of the American president. And I think one of the reasons that people hate Obama so much on that side, on any side, I guess, is because you have this relatively indefensibly moral person who doesn't shove morals down your throat. Now, again, this is not a pro Barack Obama show, but when you look at like the contrast and comparison, and when you see a comment like that, and you see just how we have created permission structures, and that's exactly what we've done. We've created permission structures for the worst types of people to feel like they have no accountability for what they do, how they hurt their families, how they erode their communities, how they destroy communities of common bond, how they stop looking out for each other and only looking for yourself. And this, of course, is just the footprint, and this is just what they've been taught by the American president, who has controlled the political discourse for the last 10 years. And make no mistake about it, I am not a fan. Obviously, I'm continuing to build an American resistance network opposed to this American president, the worst president we have ever had. But I also have to acknowledge that he has been the dominant political force in most of our lifetimes. I'm a little bit more than 40 years old. For all intents and purposes, I've been politically aware for, let's just say, 30 years. Let's say 30. This man has been the dominant political discourse for 33% of my lifetime. He has occupied the air of our political discourse. And what happens in that environment is, I think of my son who's 14, my other son who's 22. That is all they have ever known. This is all they've ever known. This toxic, corrupt, selfish man. This is what they think leadership looks like in America. This is what they think that it takes to get to the top in this country. Toxicity, corrupt, evil, hatred, bigotry, toxic masculinity, insecurity. And now, of course, we're learning from the Epstein files, sexual misconduct, the most egregious crimes against children. And then, of course, he surrounds himself with other men who do the same. Not only, of course, being in the Epstein files, but men who are greedy, men who hoard wealth, men who steal from the poor, men who abuse the poor, men who abuse the working class, men and women who hollow out our education system so that our working class is not properly educated on things like collective bargaining, unions, the power of each other. And of course, the final disillusion, the corruption of the American religious state in the name of Jesus Christ himself. A Christian nationalist fascist dictatorship led by the most incompetent, morally sterile, intellectually deficient group of people ever to lead the United States in history. So we have to push back. Welcome, everyone, to the Ignition News. It is great to have you on the show today. I do appreciate it. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to ask you to go find us on your favorite platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and click subscribe. We've got big, audacious goals. We've got to upgrade the studio. And I don't want you to have to pay for the show. I want the advertisers to pay for the show. I'm pre-visioning that BarkBox sponsorship. BarkBox, if you're listening. Would love to have a BarkBox sponsorship. So go follow the Ignition News and type bark in the comments. My dog would love that, incidentally. Let me get into the first story of the day, actually. So I'm going to tie all these things that I talked about together. A pretty shocking story out of Minneapolis. There was a judicial hearing, and an attorney for the United States government begged a judge to hold her in contempt. Her name is Julie Lee. On February 3rd, a DHS attorney named Julie Lee was in a district court and said something that you never hear in a federal courtroom. She said, "The system sucks. This job sucks. I wish you would hold me in contempt so I could have a full 24 hours of sleep." So Julie Lee, was an ICE attorney. She went to Minneapolis to basically help clean up in the court system this horrific misconduct happening. So let me give you an overview of what's happening. So the federal government is, in spite of what they're saying, detaining massive amounts of people in Minneapolis, some who have legal status, some who do not. And very often, what they're doing is they're taking people and shipping them out of the state within hours of their detention. So they pull someone over, pull them out of their car, and they ship them to Texas within hours of their detention. Often, what we're finding is that they don't have judicial warrants for this. And only after they are removed from the state, then they later find and are ordered by a judge to be returned. And what's happening, unfortunately, is a lot of times they have to find these people. And sometimes you have someone illegally arrested, detained, and shipped out of the state, and it takes 3 weeks to get them back. We saw this with Liam, the 5-year-old, and his father, who the alt-right called a criminal, by the way. Oh, guess what? The criminal's back. He wasn't a criminal. He was here legally. They're both out, and they're both back in Minneapolis. But what's happening is there are no good people left in this administration. And so people like Julie Lee are forced to go into Minnesota just to try to clean up this horrible mess. She's an attorney. She's not sleeping. She's working hours and hours and hours at a time. And this judge is hammering at her. Blackwell, the judge, is saying, basically, what are you doing? You're holding these people. This is an affront to the Constitution. And this lawyer's like, I know. And she even says, Your Honor, I am not white. My family is just as at risk. I am worried as well. She says, I have tried to resign, but they can't find anyone to fill my place. And I should leave, yes, but I keep thinking, oh, there's one more person. There's one more person. There's one more person. I could get one more person out of jail. Now, it's easy to have schadenfreude for a federal lawyer, a government lawyer working for ICE, thinking, oh, this ICE lawyer isn't getting any sleep. But the more you peel back the layer, the more you understand, like, there are actually decent people trying to clean up this chaos, trying to help people, try to free people, even in the midst of all this evil. And Julie Lee, this attorney in Minneapolis, even though, as she says, her own family is at risk, is working so many hours that she has to beg a judge to hold her in contempt. It is an affront to the Constitution, but it's also a flashing red light. Our systems are fractured, frayed, and broken. But as much as you might want to look at something that and say, there's great despair here, it is best now for us to understand this. Why? Because if we are going to mount an effective resistance, it is better to mount an effective resistance against a government which is so incompetent, incapable, and shattered. Now is the time. And yeah, you can feel like, oh, okay, well, you're an ICE lawyer. Maybe you shouldn't be an ICE lawyer. But guess what? If it isn't Julie Lee, it's probably going to be someone much, much worse. In fact, it will be someone much, much worse. A lawyer willing to let people sit in jail. People with no charges. Welcome to the Ignition News, everybody. Our show is sponsored by Ignite, fighting fascism in the age of its rise. Ignite is our signature podcast, which teach you how to push back against fascism, how to fix the pothole on your front door, how to run for office, or how to effectively be a member of your community. Ignite is available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. We have 14 episodes and 4 bonus episodes with all the tools you need to fight fascism. Download Ignite, fighting fascism in the age of its rise. Next story. Amazingly, the Democrats caved on basically one of their only requests. So while that lawyer was burning herself out trying to get ICE to follow the law, Democrats in Washington were trying to figure out how to fuck things up. And once again, they chose not to fight hard enough. Here's what happened. After the partial government shutdown ended earlier this week, Democrats had one clear piece of leverage left. The Department of Homeland Security expires on February 13th, which is in 8 days. If Democrats refused to vote for funding without major reforms, DHS would shut down. ICE would shut down. And, well, at least parts of ICE would shut down. Of course, a recent poll shows that 2/3 of Americans say ICE has gone too far in its immigration enforcement. But Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer cut a deal to reopen the rest of the government, leaving only DHS funding on the table. And now, of course, people are furious. Here's a quote from Delia Ramirez from Illinois. Schumer needs to get the hell out. He continues to demonstrate to us that he can't meet the moment. Pramila Jayapal says, every time that we are winning, we somehow seem to sabotage it. She pointed out that Mike Johnson has already ruled out several Democratic demands before negotiations even started. They even caved on this thing with masks. They even caved on the simplest possible thing, which, of course, is the weakest possible affront to fighting this fascism anyway, but they caved on that alone. But let's remind you, this is not an agency which can be reformed. ICE is an agency which must be abolished. And that requires us to have the spines where our Democratic leaders do not. It requires us to push back. We need to replace the Democratic Party with effective leaders, leaders willing to meet the moment, leaders, grassroots leaders, people in your neighborhood. Maybe that's you. We don't have much time. We caved on the simplest of demands. Somehow, Schumer, Jeffries constantly managing to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It's incredible. But it does have consequences. Our final story today is the economy. Flashing red lights in the judicial system, flashing weakness in Congress, and now the jobs report. The Labor Department reported Thursday that 231,000 Americans filed for unemployment in the last week ending January 31st. That is a jump of 22,000 from the previous week. It is significantly more than the 211,000 analysts expected. The total number of Americans currently receiving unemployment benefits grew by 25,000 to 1.84 million, something that I talk about often on the Ignition News. You are only considered unemployed in America if you are currently receiving unemployment benefits. There are millions more people who are unemployed or underemployed who are no longer receiving unemployment benefits, who are not technically counted in that number. For all of 2025, the U.S. economy gained only 584,000 jobs. That's about 50,000 per month. And that's compared to 2024, where we added 2 million jobs, or about 170,000 per month. So how do all these stories tie together? On the surface, they're about immigration, congressional negotiation, and the economy. But let us look one step deeper. This is about institutional collapse. You're seeing a government attorney overwhelmed. You're seeing an agency, DHS, violate 96 court orders with no consequences. You're seeing Democratic leadership continue to fail to meet the moment and to continue to snatch defeat from the jaws of victories. The courts in America seem unable now to enforce their own orders. Congress will not use its power, and the opposition party negotiates against itself. People are losing jobs. AI is ready to run rampant on the economy even more. Go listen to what the CEO of Anthropic, which makes Claude the AI tool, he is waving his hands. He's like, I'm making this amazing product and it is going to destroy millions of jobs. This is not normal, but it doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't. I know that January was a tough month. I know that the road ahead of us looks difficult at times. But we are learning something viscerally that we always knew anyway. We are alone. There is no institutional resistance to fascism. And you would think that that would make you feel afraid, or you would think that that would make you feel powerless. But I don't know about you. Something about the raw understanding that we are on our own gives me the clarity that I need to understand that I don't need to look to my congressional leaders or business leaders or billionaires to find the power to fight. I need to, you need to, we need to look next door. And the more that I do that, the more that we do that, the more that I realize we had the power all along. And what I will close out today telling you quite simply is this, something I say all of the time. One of the biggest reasons that people decide or hold back from fighting, hold back from being a leader, is because they don't think that anyone will follow them. And what I can tell you time and time and time again is this. My dog is like, oh, hey, buddy. Hi, Kodak. What I will tell you time and time and time is this. Every time you step into the light of leadership, people will see you shine. Every single time. Even if you stumble, even if you stutter, even if you shake. You choosing to be the leader is important. And if you do, people will follow you. And whatever weakness you think that you have right now in your own leadership, you might think that people will identify, see that, and see you as less than. But the opposite is true. What they will see is they will see someone in their community standing up for them They will find this inspiring and they will love your flaws. They will nurture you for your flaws and they will support you nonetheless. In fact, they'll probably support you even more. So, while yes, the institutional resistance has failed, what is happening instead is your muscle of resistance is growing strong. So, go out into your community, build your muscles. And when they push, push back. That's been the Ignition News, everybody. It's been a great show. Thank you. It's February 5th. We'll see you tomorrow on 2626. I appreciate you. And don't forget to leave a comment on any of our platforms. I'll read them on the next.